Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Al-Fatihah billah, Al-Fatihah Nabi Muhammad إلى حضرة النبي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. الفاتحة. الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم عليهم الضالين بالخير أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. أما بعد, baca أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. نويت التعلم والتعليم والتذكر والتذكير والنفع والانتفاع والإفادة والاستفادة والحث على التمسك بكتاب الله وسنة رسوله والدعاء إلى الهدى والدلالة على الخير ابتغاء وجه الله ومرضاته وقربه وثوابه. آمين. So we continue with Ta'lim Risalatul Jami'ah. We are at still at fasting, and we will continue from where we stopped at the Mubtilatus Sawm, the things that nullify, actions that nullify the fast. So in this topic, actually there are a lot of things to discuss, and it's quite intensive, but okay, we will try to take all the general ones and the necessary ones. Okay, actions that will nullify the fast is, we can break it into two: the actual one and figurative. Actual is something that will, actual meaning that it will actually break the fast. In actual fact, will eliminate the rewards of fasting and will break the fast. And these actions are specifically prohibited during the fasting period. Other than the fasting period, can say almost all will be permissible. And also, if you do these actions that that will nullify the fast in this category, then you will need to make up for the fast that has been nullified, in the case that if it's obligatory fasting. And if it's done intentionally, deliberately, it will be sinful for fasting that is for Ramadan, in the month of Ramadan. Other than that, then it won't be sinful, unless that the action itself is sinful. We will go through that later when we arrive at the actual topics. And whereas figurative, that actions that will nullify the fast figuratively, it will eliminate or puncture the rewards of fasting, but will not actually break the fast. So it will lessen the rewards or eliminate totally the rewards. That is up to Allah. These are the actions that are prohibited even when one is not fasting, but when fasting, they are emphasized more. So these are, in actual fact, these things are sinful itself. So it's already prohibited, but when we are fasting, so we are asked to pay more attention on these things. We will go through the those under this category later. And there is no need to make up for the fast that is it's actually not nullified. So there's no need to make up for the fast that actions that are done during the fasting. So first we will go through the actual nullifiers. There are 8. Some can break it up into 11. Some make it less into 6. So if we follow Habib Ahmad bin Zain's book, it states there, where is it? Okay. والإمساك عن المنفطر من طعامه والشراب والجماع والاستمناء بمباشرة والاستسقاء بالاختيار. So Habib Ahmad bin Zain, he actually lumped it up together because he want to make it very concise and very simple. So now we are breaking it up. So we are talking just on the nullifiers. Mubtilatus Sawm, they call it. Mubtilatus Sawm, actual nullifiers. So we go through the actual nullifiers. The actual nullifiers will actually eliminate the rewards of fasting and will break the fast. And we need to make it up if done without valid excuse. If with valid excuse, then there might be other consequences like you don't need to make it up, but you have to pay fidya. Okay, will nullify the fast if done intentionally, not forced, and he must be aware of the prohibitions. If not, then it won't nullify the fast, but not all. So all nullifiers without valid excuse will cause a sin for obligatory fast, except for hate, nifas, wilada. Wilada is giving birth, fainting, drunkenness, and insanity if not done on purpose. So we will go through all this in step by step. This is just a summary. You can see the overall status of actual nullifiers. And all nullifiers will call for a compulsory makeup, except for insanity and drunkenness, not done on purpose. This is talking about obligatory fast like Ramadan and nadar, vow. If you vow something, then it becomes obligatory. So all nullifiers does not call for kafara, expiation, except for having intercourse with the conditions met. So we will go through the conditions when we come to the part. So there's no kafara, there's no expiation except for having intercourse during fasting. And it's called kafaratul uzma. So the first one is riddah, apostasy. So as we have mentioned, that in order for your fast to be valid, you must be a Muslim. So even for a while, if the person becomes non-Muslim, that means if, for example, he commit riddah, apostasy, then his fast will be nullified, even for a moment. So he must be a Muslim for the entire fasting period. That means from Fajr till Maghrib. So what do we mean by apostasy? Apostasy can be met, it can be done by determination, words, or action, by these three things, even for a moment in the period of fasting. Must be accompanied by belief, stubbornness, or mockery. So these are all apostasy things related to apostasy, and is obligatory to make up when he returned to Islam. This is what is that? Is being heavy on him, the one who commit apostasy, because as we know, if a kafir, non-Muslim, when he enters Islam, he becomes a Muslim. There's no need for him to repay whatever he have missed throughout the years, whatever fasting that he have not done, but it's forgiven. But for apostasy, he have to repay, he have to make up for whatever he have missed during his days or his moments or his days of apostasy. But even if he commit apostasy for a while, like for 1 hour or 1 minute, that means the whole day of fasting has been nullified. So he have to repay 1 day, for example. Sorry. So I want to talk a bit about apostasy. So determination and words or actions. This is like, for example, wait, for example, determination is like he is determined that that let's say he believes that there is another God or something. Then straight away he becomes a non-Muslim due to his determination. Even if he doesn't say anything or he doesn't do anything, there's no action. It's just by his determination that he becomes he is out of Islam. Words is like if he says that there's there are three gods, or like Jesus is God or something. That's something that um, what is that? Something that is not acceptable in Islam's Aqidah. This will also bring him out of Islam. Actions is like, let's say he um, he he pray to a, a statue or something, uh, to mock Islam, or due to his belief, then he is out of Islam. So it can be either of these three, and it must be accompanied by belief or stubbornness or mockery. Like even if he says, uh, even if, like, let's say, someone tells him that using siwak is sunnah, Rasulullah SAW used siwak, then he out of stubbornness and mockery to Islam, he says something like, even if Rasulullah SAW comes to me now alive, I won't use the siwak. This is mockery to the Prophet SAW and to Islam. So this will also take him out of Islam. Okay, the second nullifier is hate, nifas, or wilada. Either one of these three, I have lumped it up into one. You can actually break it up into three, but it's the same thing. Hate, nifas, or wilada will nullify the fast. But of course, there's no sin, because these are the things that uh, a woman cannot control when her hate or nifas is coming, or when she is giving birth. This is natural. So of course, there's no sin. But the what I said, the fast will be broken, will be nullified, and she have to make it up for whatever days that she have missed. So even for a moment within the fasting period, let's say she is fasting, and half an hour before breaking fast, her head, she realized that her head has she is having head, just or maybe 10 minutes before breaking fast, before Maghrib. Then automatically her her fast is nullified, and she will have to pay the whole day. She have to make up for the whole day of fasting at another time, and she don't have to eat. I mean, there's no need to, like, some believe that when a woman, let's say she is fasting, then she encounter hate or nifas, or she give birth, then someone will say, oh, quickly drink some water, or eat something to break your fast. This is not true, because the fast has already been broken, been broken and nullified. So even if she imsak, she don't want to eat or don't want to drink throughout until Maghrib, the fast is not accepted, is nullified, and she don't have to do that. Actually, if she don't feel like eating or drinking, she don't have to do it. is considered imsak. Let's say she want to continue her fast, but she knows it's it's not technically fasting, but she wants to do imsak. She don't want to eat or don't want to drink because of health reasons or for whatever reason. It's okay. But of course, the fast is not counted. And except for the confused person, okay, except haid, nifas, and wilada, giving birth, will nullify the fast, and it's not permissible for any woman having haid or nifas or wilada to fast. It's not permissible and not counted. It's not valid. Except for the confused, the mutahayyara, they call it if in the chapter of hate, someone who is confused, they call it the mutahayyara. Mutahayyara, she is confused about her hate cycle, and is very complicated and very confusing, and she don't know whether this is hate or not. She cannot decide, and the ulama, this is a quite specific for this person, this kind of people, and she is allowed to fast. And later on, when she realized that it's actually not hate, then she is allowed the hate, the what is that? The fasting is valid. Because she is not convinced that she is having hate. So this is actually about hate matters. It's discussed in the topic of hate. Okay, for hate and wilada and nifas, obligatory to make up for obligatory fast. Okay, number 3 is insanity, al-junun. Okay. The ulama gave tafsir. What is, because in the Mubtilat Som that nullifies the fast, there is al-junun, al-ighma, and what is that? Junun, ighma, and as-sakar. So junun is insanity, ighma is fainting, and sakar is drunkenness. So they have the explanation, the ta'rif for all this according to the ulama. So according to the ulama, what is insanity? Junun, it is a sickness that removes feeling from the heart, while strength and ability to move still remain. It means he is like his heart don't feel anything yet, anything else. That means his of course his mind is there's no feeling within the heart, but he still have strength and can move like he have the physical ability to move and strength. Okay, even for a while within the fasting period, whether the cause for insanity is intentional or not. So when a person is fasting and he became insane, even for a while, even for like 1 minute or a few seconds or whatever, just for a while, even if the cause of the insanity is intentional or not, like not intentional, okay, we are clear. But if intentional, like he takes a pill or something and he becomes insane, this is still considered nullifying the fast. So intentional or not will nullify the fast. If the insanity is caused intentionally, he also sins. If not, of course, no sin. These are things that you cannot control, and it's a sickness. So the next point is, if the insanity is called intentionally, is a makeup is required. If not intentional, then there is no makeup. That means, let's say he fasted for 2 hours after subuh, after fajr. Then the rest of the day he becomes insane. So the fast is nullified from then onwards. Then he wake up, let's say 2 hours after that, before Maghrib. No more insane. So he can imsak, he can continue his fasting, but the fasting is already nullified. And there is no need to make up for the days that he missed due to insanity if it's not intentionally. If it's done, if he becomes insane unintentionally. If it's intentional, then he sins and there is makeup. Okay, number 4 is fainting, al-ighma. Al-ighma and drunkenness, you can put it in one, under one. Ighma is fainting and drunkenness is a sucker. So the ta'rif is fainting, sickness that removes feelings from the heart, accompanied with sluggishness of the body parts. Sluggishness of body part. This is the ta'rif of fainting. And drunkenness, sucker is mental derangement accompanied with pleasure or delight and disorder or confusion in speech. This is drunkenness. So there is, from the ta'rif you can see there is a difference. There are differences between this fainting and drunkenness, and also junun. So the ruling is, if fainting and drunkenness are experienced the entire day, whether the cause is intentional or not, if recovered for just a moment, his fast is valid. This is Mu'tamad Imam Ramli. And there are other opinions that says otherwise. Others says fasting is valid unless the cause for fainting and drunkenness is deliberate and for the entire day. So if it's not deliberate, then it's not what is that? Fasting, if it's deliberate, then the fasting is nullified. If it's not deliberate, not intentional, then the fasting is valid. So the fasting is valid unless the cause for fainting and drunkenness is deliberate and for the entire day. So if it's, let's say if he purposely take a pill and becomes and he fainted for 2 hours, it's not the entire day. So according to this opinion, even because even he does that intentionally, but he fainted for not the entire day, then his fasting is still valid. So this is according to some scholars. And the Mu'tamad Imam Ramli holds on to is if fainting and drunkenness are experienced the entire day, whether the cause is intentional or not, doesn't matter. If he recovered for just a moment, his fasting is valid. So it doesn't matter if if it's intentional or not intentional. Okay, if fainting, then he will. If his fast is nullified by fainting, then he need to make up the fast, whether it was caused deliberately or not. Fainting, just for fainting. Drunkenness, no need to make up the fast, unless the drunkenness is caused intentionally. If it's not intentional, then there's no need to make up for the day that he have broken the fast. But for fainting, he need to make up the fast, whether it was caused deliberately or not. This is if his valid, if his fasting is considered not valid. If valid, then there's of course no need to make up. Okay, number 5. Number 5 is sexual intercourse during Ramadan. This is a bit lengthy. So sexual intercourse, if done intentionally, willingly, not forced, aware of the prohibition, that means he knows that it's not allowed during Ramadan, then it will nullify. If he don't know, that sexual intercourse nullifies the fast, and he is staying away from the ulama and from scholars or from teachers or people with knowledge, or someone who can teach him basics of the religion, then it's forgiven for him. It doesn't nullify the fast for him, for the person that is in this state. Even if done with animals or anal intercourse, this is all will nullify the fast, even with animals, and even with the same sex. And when you say intercourse here, is the hashafa that means the head of the zakar must go in fully into the vagina. Fully, cannot half. Half is not considered intercourse. So if done during Ramadan, during the fasting of Ramadan, and meet the conditions, the following will be applicable. The following is what you call the kafaratul uzma. Okay, so if it's done in Ramadan, only Ramadan. If it's not Ramadan, let's say if it's is that fasting due to a vow, it's obligatory, but it's not Ramadan, then this won't apply. This is only for fasting of Ramadan. First is it's sinful. Second, obligatory to continue to fast imsak for the rest of the day. That means after he had the sexual intercourse, the fast has been nullified, but he have to continue to fast. What is that? Imsak, hold to not eat and drink and do whatever that nullifies the fast. But it's not considered valid for the fast. But he have to avoid doing things that will nullify the fast. So number 3 is obligatory warning by the hakim, reprimand from the hakim. Then obligatory to make up the fast. Of course, he have to make up the fast. This is he still have to make up the fast, and then he have to do the kafara. Number 5 is obligatory grand expiation, al-kafaratul uzma. Al-kafaratul uzma is we will go through the steps. So he have to do the kafaratul uzma and also make up the fast. And part of the kafaratul uzma is fasting. We will see that later. So okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we just recap. He will be sinful, obligatory to continue to fast. He have to do imsak, that means. Then number 3, reprimand from the hakim. Number 4, obligatory makeup for the fast that he have missed due to the sexual intercourse. Then obligatory grand expiation, al-kafaratul uzma. So we will look at the kafaratul uzma. What is it? First, kafaratul uzma is you have to go step by step. So if someone commit the sexual intercourse during Ramadan, his fast is nullified. So now what does he do? Of course, the 5 just now we have said that will apply. Then this is the kafaratul uzma. Kafaratul uzma, he will have to free a sound Muslim slave. He have to free a slave who is a Muslim and sound. Sound meaning he or she, doesn't matter male or female. The slave can be male or female. He have to free the person. He have to free a slave, a Muslim slave, must be Muslim or Muslimah. And sound means he have no there is nothing that hindering the slave from doing proper work. That means he's not handicapped or like known to like cannot carry heavy loads of stuff. That means it's like a useless slave. We want to free the condition is to free a useful slave. But of course now no more slaves, so this we can say that this does not apply anymore. But if you can find a slave, or there is a slave, or the person have a slave, then he have to free the slave. This is the first option. There are three options. Second is, let's say he don't have a slave. Like for us now, if in our situation, if someone commit this sexual intercourse during the Ramadan, the first he have to free a slave. I need to add in, if freeing a slave, let's say the person don't have a slave, but he have the money to buy a slave and free the slave, then he have to do that. But in our time, there are no slave, nobody have slave, and nobody selling slave also. So, but if you can find and you can afford, then you have to do that. The first option. You cannot go to the second option unless you cannot do the first option. And also Islam is fair. If let's say the person have one slave and he can free the slave, but if he frees the slave, then his life will be miserable. That means he really need a slave. He need a slave for day to day, on a daily basis. That means he's really like in need of the slave. Like say he's handicapped or whatever. Where if he doesn't have the slave, then his life will be like messed up, like really, really, really bad. Then he don't have to free a slave. He can move to the second option. Second option is to fast 2 months continuously. This is for 1 day. 1 day of Ramadan fasting nullified by sexual intercourse. 1 day you have to fast for 2 months, and 1 day you have to free a slave. This is just for 1 day. Let's say he nullifies his Ramadan fasting for 5 days by sexual intercourse, then he have to repeat the grand expiation. So okay, anyway, second option is to fast 2 months continuously. That means must be continuous. Cannot fast for 2 weeks then take a break 1 day. Or let's say he falls sick after 1 month fasting, and he falls sick and he cannot afford to fast anymore, then he have to repeat the whole cycle again. It must be 2 months continuously. And if he cannot do that, he cannot fast due to like health reasons, or the doctor say that you are not fit to fast for 2 months, it will deteriorate your health, then he's allowed to go to the third one, is to feed 60 poor people, to poor miskin, 60 of them, and every person should get a mud. A mud is 2 hands. When you do your 2 hands, you put together, cup together, an average size man, that's 1 mud. So it's approximately, the scholar says it's about 750 ml. So every person should get approximately 750 ml of rice or wheat or whatever, like you pay for your zakat, fitrah, and zakat, and for your fidya, that's the same thing. That means you can use rice or wheat or dates. So those are the three. So the sequence must be followed. If you cannot go to the second one or third one unless you really cannot do the first one, then you can go to the second one. You cannot do the second one, you can do the third one. There is one narration where a Sahabi have broken his fast in Ramadan by sexual intercourse, and he met Rasulullah SAW, and he said, "Oh, I have done this." Then Rasulullah SAW said, "Do you have free a slave?" And he said, "No, I don't have a slave. He's a poor man." Then Rasulullah SAW said, "Then fast 2 months continuously." And he said, "I cannot do that. He's an old man and a poor man. He's not fit to do that." He said, I cannot do that." Then Rasulullah SAW said, 60 people. And he said, "I don't have the money to feed." Then, so after that, Rasulullah just let him off like that. So the ulama said, if you cannot do all these three, then the third one, that is the 60 feeding 60 poor people, this is the lowest category, right? So this thing will be on you for the rest of your life. I mean, whenever you can pay for 60 people to give them every person a mud each, then you have to do that. Until you finish that, then you are done with the grand expiation. So it's upon you to settle. So this sequence must be followed, and expiation will repeat with the repeated number of days nullified with the met conditions. So if the conditions are met, then the conditions, I didn't. Okay. If it's repeated, like I said, if the person broken 5 days of Ramadan by sexual intercourse, then he have to repeat this 5 times. So imagine that if he have to do the fasting, then he have to fast for 2 months times 5. So 5 sets of 2 months, 2 months, 2 months, 2 months. And this will be only applicable for male. Why? Because when the hikmah is, if you look at it technically, when this intercourse happen, the woman will already have nullified the fast by putting something in her vagina. Even without full penetration of the dakar, it's considered putting something in, but it's not what is that? It's not intercourse yet. Can see the difference. If intercourse is the whole head of the hashafa, the head of the dakar must be fully in, then it's called intercourse. But if let's say half in, it's not intercourse. But for the woman side, the vagina, she is putting there is something going into the vagina, but it's not intercourse yet. So now it's not intercourse, but putting something in the vagina. So the fast is already nullified by the fact that something is in the vagina. Putting something in the vagina, like putting a finger in, that will nullify the fast. So that's why it's only applicable for the male. And let's say if someone who wants to, he is fasting during Ramadan, and let's say he cannot control his urge, and he wants to have intercourse with the wife. So now let's say he drink first. He breaks the fast by drinking. Then he have sexual intercourse. In this case, there is no kafaratul uzma for him. But of course, sinful, he will be sinful because of breaking the fast without a valid reason. But he breaks the fast by drinking water or eating something, but not intercourse. So in this case, there's no kafaratul ulma for him. The kafaratul uzma only apply if the person breaks the fast by sexual intercourse. Okay, that's number 6. Number 5, yeah. Okay, I think we'll stop here. We will continue number 6, 7, and 8 the next lesson, because these are all quite long. So, inshallah khair. If you got any questions, then you can leave at the comments, and then I will try to get back to them. Okay. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ربنا انفعنا بما علمتنا يا ربي، علمنا الذي ينفعنا يا ربي، وفقهنا وفقه أهلنا وقرابة لنا في ديننا مع أهل القدر أنت وذكر. ربي وفقنا وفقهم لما تقضي قولا وفعلا كرما، وارزق الكل حلالا دائما، وأخل أتقياء علماء، نحظى بالخير ونكفى كل شر. ربنا أصلح لنا كل شؤون، وأقر في الرضا منك العيون، واقض عنا ربنا كل الديون قبل أن تأتينا الرسل المنون، واغفر واستر أنت أكرم من ستر. وصلاة الله توشى المصطفى من إلى الحق دعانا، والوفاء بكتاب فيه للناس شفاء، وعلى الآل الكرام الشرفاء، وعلى صحب مصابه الغرار. اللهم اهدنا بهداك، واجعلنا ممن يسارع في رضاك، ولا تولنا وليا سواك، ولا تجعلنا ممن خالف أمرك وعصاك. وحسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل، لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العظيم. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. الحمد لله العالمين، والله أعلم والعفو منكم.